Audio Jungle.
Today we're going to see about the overview of MS SQL Server developer version. First of all, we'll see what is MS SQL Server. MS SQL Server is a RDBMS. This MS SQL Server belongs to databases concepts, and which is from Microsoft. The latest version of SQL Server is SQL Server 2014, and Microsoft has planned a new version of SQL Server named as SQL Server 2000. Now, I'll give a brief overview about the course contents to be delivered during these training sessions. And here, if you see like main module, we can say like Introduction to SQL Server 2008. And in this, we'll be covering like data, what is data store, and different types of data store, and drawbacks of existing system, or like drawbacks of existing data stores. Then what is DBMS and types of DBMS. Then SQL. SQL is nothing but structured English query language. Later it was named as simply SQL, where SQL is nothing but structured query language. Here SQL is a standard. Whoever is developing new DBMS, they have to follow SQL standards. And mainly this DBMS concepts are divided into two parts, like SQL and PLSQL. And the PLSQL part is known as TSQL in Microsoft SQL Server. To complete this entire course of delivery. So during this training for each module, for each topic, once I complete the explanation with an example, I'll give hands-on for each topic so that it makes you more comfortable and it gives you more understanding about each concept, so that you'll be in a position to implement the queries, to write queries very easily, so that you can perform your job very easily. So now we'll see one by one here. First of all, if you see the introduction part, we have like data store, types of data store, drawbacks of which is data stores, then DBMS, types of DBMS, SQL. Then again here SQL is one standard, and we call it as structured query language, and it is divided into 5 sub-languages, and they're known as DDL, DML, DQL, DCL, and TCL. This DDL is nothing but data definition language, which has some set of commands. Here I'm just giving a details about each command, like DDL. It stands for data definition language. DDL. data definition language, and it has SQL words. This language deals with the structure of a database object, and the commands available under this category is create, alter, drop. We need to use this create command whenever we want to create any kind of database object, like table, view, function, stored procedure, trigger, and so on. Same way, we need to use alter command. We need to use alter command whenever we want to modify. Whenever we want to modify an existing database object. That may be a table, that may be a view, that may be a function, or any other database object. If you want to modify an existing database object, we need to use alter command, which is under DDL language. Then comes drop command. We need to use this drop command whenever we want to remove a database object permanently. We need to use drop command to remove a database object permanently from the database. Then comes DML, stands for data manipulation language. It deals with data. Commands available under this category is or insert, delete, update, and truncate. We need to use insert command whenever we want to insert new records into a table. And we have to use delete command whenever we want to delete a particular record or records from the table. Update command is used for updating an existing record values. Let's say we have a table called employee, and which has different columns like this. You can see this is a table definition for employee. Create table EMP. Here create we are using for creating a table. Create is a keyword, or you can say create is a command, table is a keyword, and EMP is the table name. In this we are using many columns. So here employee number, employee name, job, manager, hire date, salary, commission, department number. All these are different columns. All these are different columns. If at all we want to update salary of a column, salary of an employee, we should use update command. We should use update command. Let's see once the table. This is the table. So this is the table where we have all the columns like employee number, employee name, job, manager, and so on. Suppose if I want to update the salary of employee number 1001, your salary is 5,000. I want to make it 7,000 or 10,000. Then in this case, for this requirement, we have to use update command. Same way, we have another command called truncate under DML language, that is data manipulation language. That means whenever we want to manipulate a record in a table or a records in a table, we have to use DML language. So we have this command called truncate. By using truncate, we can delete the complete data of a table without any conditions. Without any conditions. We make it without. Already we have another command like delete. Then what is the use of truncate? And what is the difference between delete and truncate? Yes, by using delete, we can delete a set of records or one record only. But whenever you want to delete entire records of a table without using any condition, then truncate is more suitable, because truncate is faster when compared to delete. In delete, records will be deleted one by one, whereas in truncate, at a stretch, all the records will be deleted. So it is faster. That is about the DML. Then comes DQL. It is data query language. Data query language. Deals with the data. And the commands available under this category is select. Only one command, that is select. So whenever we want to fetch or whenever we want to retrieve any kind of data from database, we should use this command called select. Just now in our previous example here, you see, for retrieving this entire table of employee, I have used this command select. Select start from here. So we are selecting all the columns from employee table. Here the star means all columns from the table. If you want, we can select selected columns like this. Select EMP number, key name, job from EMP. So now we'll get only 3 columns from employee table. See, now we got only 3 columns from employee table: employee number, employee name, and job. These are the columns that I have mentioned in select query, like select EMP number, name, job from EMP. Move to next language, that is TCL. It stands for Data Control Language. It deals with the data security. Deals with the data security. That means giving permissions for other users to access your database. If you want to give access rights for other users, we need to use this DCL language, data control language. Under this, there are some commands available, like grant, revoke, and deny. So here, grant command, we need to use grant command whenever we want to give access rights to other users. So grant is to give permission to other users to access your database. Revoke. Revoke is another command to take back the given permissions from the users. Third one, deny. Deny is just like rejecting the request for access to the database. So grant is to give permission, revoke is to take back the given permission, deny is to reject the request for permission. Next one comes TCL. This is stands for Transaction Control Language. So whenever we have some transactions, we must use this transaction control language. Mainly this is useful when we deal with banking related applications. Here, this deals with data transactions, and commands available under this are commit, rollback, and save point. So commit is to do permanent changes in a database. Let's take one simple example to understand this TCL language. And the commands we have: commit and rollback, and one more, save point. For example, if you take ATM application, when we want to use ATM, we say like ATM transaction. Let's say our transaction is withdrawing amount. from an ATM. So to withdraw money from an ATM, we need to follow a sequence of steps for each transaction. First, we need to swipe the card, then we have to enter a PIN number, then we have to select account type, then we have to choose transaction type, like withdrawal. Then we have to enter amount, then only we get money, but then only money will be dispensed from the ATM machine. So here withdrawal is a transaction. To do this transaction, we have sequence of steps which I have just discussed. So once the withdrawal of money is successful, that means once you receive the money from an ATM machine, then only the transaction is successful. Otherwise, it is not successful. So once you receive the cash from the ATM machine, then only your account should be updated. Let's assume that you have like 20,000 rupees in your account and you are drawing 10,000 from your account. So once you receive 10,000 into your hand, then only your account should be updated to 10,000, because available balance is 20,000. Now withdrawal amount is 10,000. So 20,000 minus 10,000. Now the available balance in your account should be 10,000. So that is known as successful transaction. Here, if you come back to the database, how it will be processed or how it will be done, the changes, how the changes will be made, or when the changes will be made to the account in the database. So here commit is a command which commits the transaction. Commits the transaction means it saves, or it will do the permanent changes in the database when the transaction is successful. What about rollback? Rollback is the command which will undo the changes, made in the database when the transaction is unsuccessful. There are many situations, there are many possibilities that a transaction may be cancelled or may be interrupted in between, in the middle of a transaction. Let's say let's take some example. When we have inserted an ATM card into ATM machine, and we have selected all the options like entering PIN number, then selecting the account type, then selecting transaction type, then we have entered amount also. At that time, just assume that there is some system failure, system got shut down. Then what should happen? So we have entered the amount, but we have not received the amount. In this case, what should be done? Whether that amount should be deducted from the account, or there should not happen anything to the record. because in this case we have not received the amount. You should have the same balance before this transaction. This is this unsuccessful transaction. So that job will be done by this rollback command. It will undo the changes done in the database. So you will have the previous available balance in the account. So commit is to do permanent changes. Rollback is to undo the changes in the database when the transaction is not successful. Then comes save point. We need to use this save point whenever we want to maintain partial transaction to be saved. Up to certain level we can save. Then we need to use save point. So this is about brief overview about SQL sub-languages like DDL, which has 3 commands like create, alter, drop. And next is DML. It deals with the data, insert, delete, update, truncate commands are available in the DML. Then DQL, only one command, select. DCL deals with data security, like giving permissions and taking back the given permission and then rejecting the request for permission by using grant, revoke, and deny. Next comes with TCL, that is Transaction Control Language. This language is mainly used for banking related transactions. So you can say whenever you have transactions, we need to use these commands: commit, rollback, and save point. Here then comes here like many things we have like normal forms, data types, and integrity constraints. Then referential integrity constraints, system functions. System functions are nothing but predefined functions. Then subqueries are nothing but queries inside another query. Then joins, which is nothing but joining 2 tables, fetching data from more than 1 table. And views, indexes, scalar variables. So yeah, these belongs to SQL. In this SQL part, we don't have something like writing program, like a program we don't have in SQL part. That is fulfilled in PL/SQL part, or like TSQL, Transact SQL. Here we have like scalar variables, control structures. Control structures are nothing like if else, while, case statements, and so on. And also we have here user-defined functions, just like any other programming languages, how we have. Same way here in SQL Server we have user-defined functions. Also we have stored procedures, which is useful when we deal with transactions. And also we have error attributes, which is very useful when we get errors, which gives complete meaning and understanding about each and every error. Then we have triggers. The trigger is nothing but user-defined business constraints, by using which we can maintain, we can control the security and related to data. That is, triggers are mainly like to apply different conditions, or like constraints. Then comes authentication, authorization, and partition tables. The partition tables is useful when we have bulk data to be stored in databases, which makes the retrieval of data easy and faster. Here I would like to discuss about integrity constraints. Integrity constraints are like we have some set of predefined integrity constraints. Let's say integrity constraints. We have primary key, foreign key, normal, unique, check, unique, and check. You can see here an example for this. Primary key, foreign key, normal, unique, check, and default constraint. So these are the predefined constraints available in SQL Server. Primary key, foreign key, normal, unique, check, and default. This we'll see with an example for each. Here if you see this table. This is the table. If you see here, employee number is the first column, which has under this column we have all unique values. Each number is different. Each number is different. There are no duplicate values under this column, and also there are no null values in this column. So while creating tables, how we need to use these constraints. So whichever column we want to make as primary key column. First, we should know what is the primary key. When we impose a primary key constraint, on a column, that will not allow duplicate values and null values. Primary key column will not allow null values and duplicate values. So when we apply or when we impose a primary key constraint on a column, the column will contain only unique values. Each value is different. So this is a way to use primary key, like column name, data type, then constraint is a keyword. When we want to apply constraint on a column, this is the way to use column name, data type, then constraint keyword, then here employee number underscore pk is constraint name. Here pk for primary key. This name can be anything, but it is recommended to use a meaningful name for all the constraints as well as for all the identifiers, that is names of objects or names of columns. and followed by constraint type. So constraint, constraint name, constraint type. This is primary key. Next, we see this is here we have a column called salary. On salary column, we are applying check constraint. Check constraint. We need to use this check constraint whenever we are inserting a new value to your record. If you want to restrict that value should be within a specified range, then we should use check constraint. Suppose here if you see check of condition, we are saying salary is the column name, salary between 1500 and 7500. So whenever we try to insert a new record, if you see this is the sample data for this table. Here salary is the third column from last. So 1, 2, 3. This is the value. This is the salary. So whenever we try to insert this record at this salary column, this value will be verified 5000, whether this 5000 is within this range or not. Here the 5000 is within this range. That means this condition is satisfied. Then that record will be inserted without any problem. If the value is like, suppose if I mention like 500, then it will show an error saying that violation of sal check constraint. This is about check constraint. Then comes like foreign key constraint. This is foreign key constraint. Foreign key is also known as referential integrity constraint. Referential integrity constraint. It means it is referring to another column of another table. Foreign key referring to another column of another table. Here if we see constraint, constraint name and constraint type, and DEPT number is the column of this employee table. And it is like references DEPT of DEPT number. So here DEPT is another table. In the table there is a column called DEPT number. I'll show you the table how it is. This is the DEPT table. Create table DEPT. Till now we have seen employee table. This is employee table, and this is DEPT table. Here we have a column called DEPT number, which is primary key column for this table. Now the column of employee table is referring to column of DEPT table. That is, the column name is DEPT number, which is primary key in DEPT table. And here also we have a column called DEPT. And here this DEPT number column is known as foreign key column. Foreign key column. That means this debit number column of employee table is referring to DBT number column of DBT table. This concept is known as referential integrity constraint. That means whenever we are entering a new record into employee table, under this we are entering department number for each employee. So whatever value we are entering for each employee, this department number should be available in DBT table. Here we see these are the records available in DBT table. That is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. These are the departments available in a company. So if any employee is joining company in a company, they should belong to any of these departments only. Otherwise, it is not valid. Data is not accurate. There is no integrity between these two tables. Here, DEPT table is called as master table, and EMP table is called as master detailed. Or I can say DEPT is parent table and EMP is child table. So here we have seen like primary key, foreign key, and check constraint. Here we have seen this primary key like imposing a constraint at column level. This is known as column level, imposing a constraint at column level. And if we see the last one, this is known as imposing a constraint at table level. That means at the end of the table, we are imposing this constraint. This is known as table level constraint. And the remaining two things, two constraints, we have seen primary key, foreign key, check person. Let's see not null. What is not null? When we apply this not null constraint on a column, it will not allow null values, but it allows duplicate values. And unique constraint. When we apply or when we impose this unique constraint on a column, it will not allow duplicate values, but it allows a null value. Next comes default. Default constraint is useful when we insert some new records with data only for few columns. Suppose if you use default constraint on a column called address of an employee. When we insert a record without entering value for address, default it comes with null, but null is not, displaying null is not good. So instead of that, if you want to give some default value where the value is not provided by the user or at the time of inserting your record, like you can give like default with not provided. Default not provided. That means whenever value is not provided or address field of a table, then that column will be filled with not provided, like address not provided, which gives more meaning. The readability will be good. So this is about integrity constraints. Primary key, foreign key, not null, unique, check, and default. So that's it for today.